Welcome back to Klepper's Corner. Today in history. Today, we're not just flipping through history, we're slicing straight down the timeline like a historian with a deli slicer, landing on March 19th, a date that somehow manages to contain ancient festivals, collapsing empires, bad imperial decisions, worse imperial decisions, and at least one dictator saying, if I'm going down, I'm taking the plumbing with me. It's the kind of day that makes you realize history isn't a straight line. It's more like a recurring group chat where nobody learns from the last message. Segment 1. Bread, circuses, and Labor Day before it was cool. Rome knew how to throw a party, but more importantly, it knew why to throw a party. March 19th marked the Quinquatria, a festival honoring Minerva, goddess of wisdom, strategy, and apparently the entire Etsy marketplace of ancient Rome. This was Artificum Dies, the official day of artisans, meaning everyone from shoemakers to sculptors took a break to celebrate. So yes, even 2,000 years ago, workers wanted a day off, snacks, and a vague sense of appreciation for management. The genius here is that Rome fused religion with labor recognition. You're not just skipping work, you're honoring a goddess. Try pitching that to your boss today. I can't come in. It's for Minerva. Meanwhile, Emperor Domitian saw this grassroots celebration and thought, you know what this needs? Wild animals and poetry contests, which is the Roman version of turning a small-town fair into the Super Bowl halftime show. It's propaganda, it's entertainment. It's a reminder that if you keep people busy with spectacle, they might not notice you're running an empire on vibes and conquest. Segment 2. Empires fight, popes plot, and trade wins. In the medieval world, March 19th is basically a reminder that stability is a myth. In 1205, Crusaders win the Battle of Adramyttium, temporarily propping up the Latin Empire, which is like duct taping a collapsing IKEA shelf and calling it furniture. Meanwhile, in 1227, Pope Gregory IX steps in, looks around and says, you know what Europe needs? More control. Enter the Papal Inquisition, which is less spiritual guidance and more, we're going to need you to explain your thoughts in detail. Then Venice comes along in 1277, signs a trade deal with Byzantium, and effectively says, while you all argue about God, we'll be over here making money. That monopoly fuels the Renaissance, proving once again that art flourishes best when someone else is getting rich off shipping lanes. And in 1284, England formally absorbs Wales, because nothing says welcome like replacing someone's entire legal system. By 1452, the last Holy Roman Emperor gets crowned in Rome, and it's basically the medieval version of a farewell tour. The old system is fading. The new one isn't ready yet, and everyone's pretending this ceremony still means something. Segment 3. When empires collapse, they really commit. Now let's talk about the Battle of Yamen in 1279, where the Sung dynasty made one of history's boldest strategic choices, chaining their entire fleet together. Which sounds great until you remember boats are supposed to move. The Mongols, seeing this, basically said, thank you for organizing yourselves into a stationary target. What follows is catastrophic. Mass death, the child emperor going down with the ship, and a dynasty ending in one of the most tragic finales in history. And if you think that's rough, fast forward to 1644, when the Ming dynasty collapses under economic crisis, climate disasters, and rebellion. The emperor ends his life, writing a message blaming himself, which, to be fair, is a level of accountability we rarely see in leadership. These moments reveal a pattern. Empires don't just fall. They unravel under pressure from every direction at once. Economy, environment, politics. It's the original multi-system failure, like your laptop crashing while your phone dies and your Wi-Fi drops, except it's a civilization. Segment 4. Exploration, colonies, and oops moments. March 19th also highlights how exploration is just ambition plus terrible decision-making. In 1687, French explorer La Salle gets lost, loses ships, loses men, and eventually gets shot by his own crew, which is history's way of saying maybe leadership style matters. But his earlier land claims still shape North America, proving that even your worst trip can have long-term consequences. Meanwhile, Spain is setting up Manila as a global trade hub, linking silver from the Americas to markets in China. It's the birth of globalization, and also the beginning of centuries of colonial exploitation. And in 1628, the Massachusetts Bay Charter gets issued, accidentally creating a self-governing theocracy. The Puritans wanted religious freedom, which they achieved by immediately denying it to everyone else. It's a classic move. Freedom for me, strict rules for you. Yet out of that contradiction comes representative government, education systems, and eventually a revolution. So yes, even bad ideas can accidentally build infrastructure. Segment 5, War, Peace, and Terrible Decisions at Scale. The 20th century takes March 19th and turns it into a masterclass in consequences. In 1911, International Women's Day launches with massive protests demanding rights, proving that change doesn't come quietly. It shows up with a crowd. Then in 1920, the U.S. Senate rejects the Treaty of Versailles, effectively saying, we'll pass on global responsibility, which ages about as well as you'd expect when World War II shows up 20 years later. And in 1945, Hitler issues the Nero Decree, ordering Germany to destroy its own infrastructure. It's the ultimate rage quit. If I lose, nobody gets to play. Thankfully, officials ignore him, which might be the first recorded instance of bureaucracy saving lives. Then in 1962, the Evian Accords try to end the Algerian War, but violence continues anyway, because ending a conflict on paper doesn't magically fix reality. And in 1992, South Africa votes to end apartheid, showing that sometimes history does bend toward progress, but only after decades of pressure, resistance, and negotiation. Segment 6, Modern Chaos, Culture, and the Human Condition. March 19th also reminds us that modern history is just as messy. In 2003, the U.S. invades Iraq based on faulty intelligence, reshaping the Middle East and proving that we're pretty sure is not a great foundation for war. In 1995, a cult releases sarin gas in Tokyo, showing how vulnerable modern cities can be. But it's not all bleak. 1895 gives us the first motion picture, which means humanity immediately decided to record itself leaving work. That's our origin story. And in 1962, Bob Dylan drops his debut album, helping spark cultural movements that challenge power structures in ways politics sometimes can't. Then there's the scientific side: electromagnetism, seismology, Mars exploration. All reminders that while we're busy repeating mistakes, we're also figuring out how the universe works. And finally, the vernal equinox and Nowruz arrive, celebrating renewal, balance, and the idea that no matter how chaotic things get, the seasons keep turning. In conclusion, March 19th is less a date and more a pattern. Empires rise and fall. Leaders make decisions that echo for centuries. And humanity somehow manages to create both catastrophe and progress at the same time. It's a reminder that history isn't just about what happened. It's about what keeps happening.